Hi, I'm John Krauskopf, the Brewster Central School District's Director of Technology and Innovation.
My name is Peter Lamoureux. I'm the district-wide instructional technology specialist.
And today we're going to share with you a little bit about the New York State Smart Schools Bond Act, which brings $1.6 million to our district. For over a year, the district has been going through the various steps necessary to secure such funding, and currently our application is held in what's called a Smart Schools Investment Plan, which identifies how we'll spend those dollars aligned to student learning and technology. We're in the final step, waiting for approval to spend the dollars and be reimbursed. The state has a number of other districts in this holding pattern. It's considered held at the review board level, and that is the final level. Once it's approved, we're able to spend the dollars. So, Peter, would you share some of the details related to what we'll be doing with all these funds?
We're obviously very excited about this allocation, and we have a plan in place to push these students out to really affect instruction and learning. So what we hope to do with these devices, we'd like to outfit all students in grades 7 through 12 with a personal Chromebook, which they'll be able to then take home and use at home or use in class, and we'll have the expectation they'll bring it to class every day charged, and that the teachers will then utilize that resource. And then 6th grade, we're going to also have a one-to-one device policy, but we'll keep those devices in school at this point. In grades 3 through 5 at this point, we're going to work towards a model where we have one Chrome device for every 2 students, and those will be shared by teams of teachers who then manage that resource and utilize it to the best way they see fit. In JFK right now, in grades kindergarten through 2nd grade, our model is currently that we have iPads in the building and as a resource to those students. We're going to then switch to Chromebooks, and we're going to start to bring in Chromebooks, at least one card at each grade level, get those students up to speed with the Chromebook, and then start to transition the iPads down to the kindergarten grades. But we're very excited to have these this influx of new devices. Of course, we're going to repurpose the devices that are already in existence and utilize those as part of this distribution model. So,
yeah, and Peter, it's interesting that model really launches us into a lot of the 21st century learning projects that have been part of the ongoing conversation. The dollars will also be spent in part on things that aren't necessarily directly impacting the students' work, the hands-on work, but actually their opportunity to share their work. So there's funds. Some of the funds are allocated for interactive television displays, flat screens where they can take what they're doing on their device and share it. So these are important pieces as well. And this doesn't just happen. I've been here a little over a year, and in that time working together, it's clear just how much preparation it takes to ready a staff and a system to shift from access to computers either down the hall in a computer lab or a cart that one can sign out. Could you speak a little bit about the preparation that's taken place over the last year or so?
So the Brewster community, the school community, has really done a great job to get ready for this distribution. We've brought in district-wide technology committee meetings, building-wide technology committee. The administration has helped with these decisions, and we really collectively work towards this vision and this model that we're going to help fulfill through the distribution of the Smart School funds. So what we really have gotten everything ready to go so that when we have the money allocated to us, we're ready to push the button and place the order, and we know what we need, and we have our process developed. So we really have done a good job developing that process. So when those funds come in, we're ready to move forward with affecting learning and really targeting improving learning with this money.
Absolutely, and I've been fortunate to participate in a number of the professional learning opportunities that have taken place district-wide. Yeah. Would you share just a few of them? I know you're always running around and working with different groups of teachers, and I see already the impact of that work in some of the 20% project work that students have done, some of the innovative formative assessments and the tools that teachers are using without being one-to-one. But could you discuss in some detail the preparation that's taken place with regard to teacher professional learning?
And that's a good point. We have not stopped instruction or use of technology and innovation tools or digital learning tools because we haven't had this deployment yet. We're really trying to work to build capacity with the resources that we currently have available, both with students and with teachers right now. We've had a significant professional learning campaign where we're teaching all different resources, student response systems, the Google Suite, G Suite products. We've developed a Brewster Digital Educator program where those teachers that are a part of that program are there sharing best practices with others. We had 15 teachers that moved forward in developing that are Google certified educators at this point. And that's a fairly significant commitment where they have to go through online training and then pass a rigorous test to get that certification. We've really offered a considerable amount of professional learning opportunities so we can build that capacity and prepare teachers and students for this more holistic distribution.
Yeah, and that's vital that teachers know not just how to use the system, but what it means to be a student or a teacher with these types of resources, because it does change everything. One thing that sometimes is lost in our conversations about the Smart Schools Bond is that it's not solely about providing every child and every teacher with a Chromebook device. Chromebooks are great. They've kind of created a perfect storm in learning where we have the opportunity to buy sub $300 devices that don't require as much hands-on maintenance as other operating systems. They're managed across the enterprise, so to speak, and really allow us to tailor individual programs to students without having an excessive demand on our staff.
So the total cost of ownership is really what you're speaking to. Is
Exactly.
It's not just the cost of the device, but the management piece is really conducive to a school environment, which is why they've gained such market share in the school environment. So
right, and we know that they'll be terrific devices for much of what we do, for much of what work the students create. But we also have allocated dollars for traditional laptops. Our Project Lead the Way efforts in 2 of the schools, which is growing in interest, require different resources. So the goal is not to tailor our purchases and the focus our professional learning on any one product, but to have basically anytime, anywhere, any device access available for those teachers and students we serve. One last piece is over the last few months, we've had the opportunity to meet with representatives from Google on a number of different occasions. And you've advocated quite strongly for the work that's taking place here. And we've learned that they too have shifted from providing just these tools to really providing a wealth of online resources. And the fact that we have 15 teachers who have gone through this rigorous Google-sponsored certification, these things make a difference, these relationships. Can you speak just really briefly to some of those interactions we've had?
We really value the relationship that we developed, and we had the opportunity to pilot the new Google Sites program as early adopters, and many of our teachers have moved their teacher sites to the Google Site platform, and we have fifth graders that are using it for projects. And it was just released. The actual release was on the end of November, but we've got students that are already up to speed, and teachers are up to speed. So that relationship is important because as early adopters, we're willing to take on the beta, but we're also pushing the innovation agenda and moving forward very quickly with those products. So
right, and Google is just one example. I mean, it's a cornerstone of what we do. We do all our word processing and creation of slides and video and spreadsheets. We don't have Microsoft Office on our student computers anymore. So this is really a commitment to cloud-based computing and to the fact that learning doesn't take place only within these walls. And I commend you and other members of our team for pushing those relationships with other vendors. I know the conversations have gone quite extensive at some of the national conferences, some of the meetings we've had, some of the webcasts, and it always comes back to these technologies are interesting, but how does it change what it means to be a student in the Brewster Central School District? So lastly, I mean, there are many of us who grew up in the 60s or 70s and say, you know, computers for every child, we're just going to give it to them. And clearly I know the answer to this because I've been part of forming this solution with you and the other team members. But would you share out some of the guidelines of the responsible use policy, but equally important, how that's going to be conveyed to the students when they actually have a device in their hands? You don't just give it to them.
That's a good question. So last spring, the board adopted a new policy where we shifted from an acceptable use policy to a responsible use policy. And part of the drive for that was acknowledging the fact that many students have, you know, ubiquitous use of technology and have access to technology, be it their phone or be it at home. But really we want to help develop the student as a responsible user of technology. And when we shifted the board policy last year, we did a significant campaign where, you know, we addressed all the students in the district and spoke about what that meant at their grade level and what it meant to be a responsible user of technology. As we give out these new devices, we're then going to, you know, have the same kind of conversations where, you know, we entrust you with this device, but please be aware that, you know, we do have monitoring software to help govern what you're doing on these devices, and that you do need to be a responsible participant in you know, utilizing this learning resource.
Yeah, that's an interesting balance because we know as teenagers, they're going to be mistakes. They're going to be poor decisions at times, but and the fact that the Board of Education actually adopted this responsible use policy, it is board policy, that's a big shift, and it really says to the students, we trust you, we understand some mistakes will be made, but we'll treat them as learning opportunities. These are opportunities for an adult to intervene, to share what the consequences might be online, and we know nothing disappears once it's out there. So, hey, it's a real exciting time in the Brewster Central School District.